Hey there, future millionaires. Welcome back to the channel. It's so good to see you again. I hope you're having an absolutely amazing day, no matter where you're watching from around the world. Today, we're diving into something exciting, XRP. And wow, do we have some interesting developments to talk about. Let me pull up the one-day chart for you. Look at this. We're sitting pretty at $2.32, and XRP is absolutely crushing it today with a solid 5% gain, bringing us right back into that beautiful green territory. Now here's what's really catching my attention, and I think you'll find this fascinating too. Out of nowhere, we're seeing price predictions popping up left and right. Suddenly, everyone's buzzing about one thing. Alt season is officially back. But hold on. Let's dig deeper into what this really means for us.
Now, before we get too excited, I think we need to pump the brakes just a little bit. It's still way too early to call this a full-blown alt season. And let me show you exactly why. Check this out on the chart. See this massive crash that just happened? That brutal drop took us all the way down to 28 cents. Ouch. But here's the silver lining. We actually bounced back and hit what's called a higher low right here. So what does this mean for us moving forward? Well, we're sitting at a critical crossroads right now. We've got two possible scenarios playing out. Scenario 1. We break upward from this point, and if that happens, it's going to confirm that November could be absolutely incredible for XRP holders. But scenario 2, and we have to be realistic here, XRP could continue breaking down, which means we're looking at another one of those frustrating delay periods we've seen over and over again. And honestly, this pattern is getting pretty predictable, isn't it? Every single time XRP starts building serious momentum and we're all getting excited, what happens? Bitcoin decides to crash and drags the entire market down with it like a sinking ship.
Now let's take a look at what Bitcoin's doing, and this is pretty wild. On the one-day chart, we're sitting just above $103,000. Can you believe that number? But here's where it gets really interesting. The market analysts are buzzing right now, saying this could be Bitcoin's final push to the top before we see a major correction. They're predicting Bitcoin's going to keep this momentum rolling through what's left of November and straight into December. Honestly, we're going to have to wait and see how this plays out, but I'm really hoping we get some stability in the market. You know what would help? If the government could get its act together and reopen. That would bring some much-needed calm to these volatile waters. Speaking of catalysts, we're also keeping our eyes peeled for some major XRP news that could change everything. Now, I keep seeing people in the comments and on social media saying that XRP ETFs won't be a game changer. But hold up a second. Let me remind you of something important. Do you remember what happened back in 2024 when the spot Bitcoin ETFs finally went live? Bitcoin absolutely exploded. It went on one of the most incredible runs we'd ever seen and smashed through to a brand new all-time high.
And guess what? I'm expecting the exact same explosive pattern to happen with XRP. Let me show you something really cool on this chart. See right here? This is the exact moment when those Bitcoin ETFs went live. It's right around this first massive green candle. And look what happened next. Bitcoin just kept climbing and climbing, building that incredible upward momentum that carried it to new heights. Now here's why I'm so excited about XRP's future. I believe we're going to see this same pattern play out all over again. When those XRP ETFs finally get approved and go live, I think we could witness the same kind of explosive growth that completely changed Bitcoin's trajectory. The parallels are just too strong to ignore, and if history has taught us anything in crypto, it's that these institutional catalysts can be absolute game changers. ETF expert Nate Garassi predicts launch of first spot XRP ETFs within 2 weeks. Okay, this is huge news that you need to hear. Nate Garassi just dropped some incredible information. He's predicting we could see an XRP ETF approved within the next 2 weeks. Can you imagine? And here's the kicker. Word on the street is that several of these ETFs are actually set to launch as early as next week. If this happens, listen carefully because this is critical. You might only have days left to grab XRP at these current prices. Why? Because once those ETF doors open, we're talking about massive institutional money flooding into XRP like never before. Remember what I've been telling you this entire time? You are incredibly fortunate to be positioned ahead of the big institutions right now. You're getting in before the Wall Street giants, before the pension funds, before all that serious money arrives. But once that institutional tsunami hits the market, everything changes in the blink of an eye. We're talking about price movements that could happen so fast it'll make your head spin.
This could be your last chance to get in at these levels before the big players change the game forever.
Hold everything! We've got breaking news that's absolutely massive for the XRP community. Franklin Templeton's Spot XRP ETF, and get this, the ticker symbol is XRPZ, is now officially listed on the DTCC for pre-launch. This isn't speculation anymore, folks. This is real, this is happening, and this is huge. So here's what this means. We now have concrete proof that these ETFs are absolutely 100% coming. No more guessing, no more hoping, it's official. Now, I keep seeing all these doubters in the comments and across social media saying the ETFs are going to get canceled over and over again, pushing this whole thing out to 2026. But let me tell you something, they're completely wrong. Mark my words, we are going to see these XRP ETFs launch before the end of this year. In fact, I'm willing to bet we'll see them before the end of this month. The pieces are all falling into place, and this Franklin Templeton listing is the smoking gun we've been waiting for. The countdown has officially begun. All right, let's dive into some important regulatory updates that could change everything. This intel comes straight from Eleanor Tourette, and trust me, you're going to want to pay attention to this. So here's the situation. Those crucial Senate bill drafts are still sitting there waiting for approval, and the markup sessions keep getting pushed closer and closer to December. Now, here's the key thing you need to understand. The faster our government gets back to business and reopens, the quicker we can get these markups moving. But there's a catch. We're still waiting on the actual text of these bills before anything can really happen. It's like waiting for the starting gun in a race. So where exactly do we stand right now? Well, there's been a lot happening this week that you absolutely need to know about, so let me catch you up on all the biggest headlines that could impact your investments. Now here's where things get really interesting, and honestly, a little confusing. I'm seeing reports that this crucial market structure bill might get pushed all the way into December. But then you've got everyone else saying, no way, it's definitely getting done by Thanksgiving. And you know what? I think the truth is that nobody, and I mean nobody, has a clue what's actually happening behind those closed doors in Washington right now. It's like trying to predict the weather in a tornado. But here's why this matters so much for us as XRP holders. This market structure bill is going to be absolutely huge for utility tokens. This is exactly why I'm sitting here hoping and praying they get this thing passed sooner rather than later. Why am I so excited about it? Because this bill is going to do something we've been waiting for forever. It's finally going to separate the real projects with actual utility from all the speculative junk out there. We're talking about separating the wheat from the chaff, the diamonds from the coal. This could be the moment when true value finally gets recognized in this market. Analysts list 6 reasons XRP could repeat 633x returns. So let me break down what this article is highlighting, because this is absolutely mind-blowing when you really think about it. They're talking about all the massive catalysts we have lined up, the ETFs we just discussed, major acquisitions happening left and right, that banking license everyone's been waiting for, plus all those treasury companies, and trust me, we're going to see way more of those popping up. And don't even get me started on the partnerships that are brewing behind the scenes. Now here's what's absolutely incredible about this. All of these game-changing developments are happening on top of what would normally be a regular alt season. Think about that for a second. Remember back in 2022 and 2023 when people were throwing around that crazy $27 XRP prediction? Well, guess what? That was just based on a normal market cycle. But now you've got to add all of this incredible momentum on top of that baseline prediction. This is exactly why I believe we're going to see XRP reach prices that will absolutely blow people's minds during this alt season. And I don't care how many people want to say alt season is canceled. They're dead wrong. This crypto cycle is going to play out exactly the way it's supposed to. The only difference? For XRP holders like us, the returns are going to be absolutely astronomical compared to what we've seen before. Okay, this headline is absolutely wild, but it makes perfect sense when you think about it. An expert is predicting that investors will still panic when XRP drops from $1,200 down to $1,000. And you know what? He's absolutely right. I'm seeing this exact same behavior with Bitcoin maximalists right now, and it's honestly hilarious. Bitcoin is sitting pretty above $100,000, which is absolutely incredible, by the way. But the moment it drops from 114K down to 109K, everyone loses their minds. People are acting like the world is ending over a tiny pullback. And here's the thing. This exact same panic cycle is going to happen with XRP, no matter how high it goes. Picture this. XRP could skyrocket all the way to $10,000, but if it dips to $9,000, you're going to see people absolutely freaking out. It's just human nature, and it's honestly pretty predictable. This is exactly how crypto psychology works, and it's how people are wired. The second they see red in their portfolio, panic mode kicks in. They immediately think, oh no, I'm losing money. It's the same reason people panic sell on red days. They convince themselves their entire portfolio is going to zero. But here's the secret that successful investors know. If they just stayed calm and did absolutely nothing, or better yet, bought the dip with fresh money, they'd be in a much better position when the next surge happens. But most people don't think like that. Instead, they see red and immediately assume everything's going to crash and burn. Now, this next piece of news is something that's going to get XRP holders really excited. A brand new report just dropped from Bayberry Capital, and what they're saying is absolutely fascinating. They're calling XRP one of the most misunderstood assets in the entire digital economy. And honestly, I couldn't agree more. But here's the kicker that's going to blow your mind. They're backing up this claim with hard data showing that XRP is still massively undervalued at current prices. Think about that for a second. We're talking about a major capital firm basically saying that the market still doesn't get what XRP is really worth. This isn't just some random crypto influencer making bold predictions. This is serious institutional analysis. So here's what's absolutely mind-blowing about this situation. Despite all the incredible things happening, we're talking higher network activity, expanding settlement usage, and renewed institutional interest flooding in. The token price still isn't reflecting XRP's true role as the foundational bridge for liquidity transfer across the globe. And Bayberry Capital nailed it perfectly. They're saying XRP is still being treated like just another speculative altcoin, when in reality, it's a critical piece of our future financial infrastructure. But here's the analogy that really hit home for me. Bayberry compared this exact moment to the early days of the internet. Think about it. Back then, routers and protocols were being developed and perfected, but mainstream investors had absolutely no clue about their long-term significance. Sound familiar? This is exactly what's happening with XRP right now. We're all sitting here looking at the price, seeing all these massive announcements and partnerships rolling out, and scratching our heads thinking, why isn't the price exploding with all this incredible news? The answer is simple. Everything is still being built behind the scenes. XRP is in its construction phase, laying the foundation for something absolutely revolutionary. But here's the critical part you need to understand. Once XRP goes fully live on all those Ripple payment rails, it's game over for retail investors like us. At that point, most people are going to be completely priced out. They'll be buying tiny fractions of a single XRP token. This is exactly why I'm always telling you to buy on those red days when everyone else is panicking. This is why I'm constantly urging you to stack up a serious bag right now, while you still can, so you don't spend the rest of your life regretting what could have been. Because when you really step back and see the bigger picture, Ripple is literally building the internet of value. XRP isn't just some cryptocurrency. It's engineered to move massive amounts of money on a daily basis across the entire global financial system.
Let me blow your mind with this incredible comparison. Back in 1997, if you had invested just $1,000 in Amazon, that investment would be worth $2.48 million today. We're talking about a mind-boggling 2,400x return. But here's the key question. Why did Amazon become such a monster success? It's because they didn't just stay a simple bookstore. They transformed into the backbone of global commerce. Logistics, cloud computing, data infrastructure, you name it. And guess what? Ripple is following the exact same playbook right before our eyes. XRP serves as the liquidity layer, while Ripple Prime acts as the bridge connecting institutions to the Internet of Value. I absolutely love this perspective because it perfectly captures what we're witnessing right now. The next 2,400x success story won't be about selling books. It'll be about building bridges in the financial world. Think about Ripple's brilliant strategy here. They could have easily just focused on cross-border payments and called it a day. But Brad Garlinghouse and the team had much bigger vision. They dove into custody services because they knew tokenization was going to explode, and people would need secure places to store their tokenized assets. Then they expanded into wallet solutions that will benefit enterprises early on, and eventually help retail investors like us earn passive income. Plus, lending is coming to the XRP ledger, Can you imagine the possibilities? It's all about building out this incredible ecosystem and becoming the ultimate one-stop shop for digital finance. And here's the kicker. Ripple even wants to become a bank. We are still early in this journey, but I'll be honest with you. We're rapidly approaching the point where we won't be early anymore. Once those big institutions fully arrive and start flooding in, that window of opportunity for retail investors like us is going to slam shut forever. The clock is ticking, and history is being written right in front of us.
All right, this next update is absolutely massive and could change everything. The Clarity Act is heading our way, and you need to pay close attention to this. Here's what the numbers are telling us. If the US government shutdown ends this November, analysts are giving us an 80% probability that the Clarity Act moves forward. That's huge odds. So what does this actually mean for us? It means we finally get crystal clear legal classification. These digital assets will officially become digital commodities under the CFTC, not securities under the SEC. That's the difference between freedom and regulatory hell. And check this out. He specifically lists all the cryptocurrencies that are part of the ISO standard. The moment this clarity hits the market, it's going to be like opening the floodgates. Institutional capital is going to pour in like never before. We're talking about banks and enterprises finally being able to legally deploy on-chain without fear. Staking becomes mainstream, custody solutions explode, and ETFs become so much easier to launch. Plus, all that massive VC money that's been sitting on the sidelines because of legal uncertainty, it all gets unleashed at once. But here's what really caught my attention. This isn't just another price catalyst. This is the bridge to mass adoption. This is exactly why I've been constantly telling you to diversify across the ISO cryptocurrencies. And he's absolutely spot on about this. Once we get the Clarity Act, game over. It finally separates the real projects with genuine value from all the speculative garbage out there. When you're holding XRP, XLM, Hedera, ADA, XDC, or Quant, you're holding real value, the foundation of the new financial system. Now, I wouldn't include Chainlink in that same category. Don't get me wrong, Link is important for data, and it'll definitely have its place in the new financial system because data is massive business. But it's not going to be as critical as the actual money movers. I'm talking about the real powerhouses. XRP, XLM, XDC, Hedera, IOTA, Algorand. These are the assets that will literally move money across the globe. And Quant? That's going to be the glue holding this entire ecosystem together. Ripple customer base has doubled quarter over quarter, according to President Monica Long. Now, here's something really important you need to understand when she talks about doubling their customer base quarter over quarter. She's not talking about you and me. She's not talking about retail investors at all. She's talking about institutions, the big players, the banks, the corporations, the massive financial entities. And get this, they've literally doubled in size quarter over quarter. That's absolutely insane growth. But here's the thing you have to remember. Ripple was always designed with institutions in mind from day one. That's their bread and butter. That's who their real customers are. And here's where it gets really interesting for us. Retail investors like you and me, we just happen to get incredibly lucky. We stumbled into this opportunity to buy XRP before these massive institutions arrived on the scene. Right now, we're still in that sweet spot. We're still early to the party. But here's what keeps me up at night, and what should keep you motivated. Once these institutions fully arrive and start deploying their massive capital, our window of opportunity slams shut forever. The clock is literally ticking, and every day that passes is one day closer to the moment when regular people like us get priced out of this incredible opportunity. This next insight comes from X's in my future, and honestly, this post hit me right in the gut because it's so true. Here's what's absolutely hilarious to me, and I bet you've seen this too. People are constantly saying things like, yeah man, alt season won't happen until we see complete desperation. The market won't rebound unless everyone is totally hopeless and ready to give up. But here's the irony that's both funny and sad at the same time. When that hopeless desperation and fear actually arrives, and I mean when it truly, genuinely hits the market like a freight train, guess what happens to those exact same people? They completely fold. They shake out and sell everything. The truth is, most people have absolutely no clue what real hopelessness and desperation actually look like in crypto. They think they want to buy the bottom, they think they're ready for the fear, But when that moment of truth arrives and the market is bleeding red everywhere, they panic just like everyone else. It's one of those classic, be careful what you wish for situations, because when true desperation hits, it separates the real believers from the people who just talk a good game. This crypto market is like the ultimate psychological boot camp. It will test your mental strength over and over again until you either break or become unbreakable. It's going to challenge every single conviction you have about yourself and your investments. The market literally talks to you like a bully, saying, "Oh, you think you're strong? You talk about having diamond hands? Well, let me push you even harder and see if I can make you question your own sanity." And here's what most people don't understand. True fear isn't just some little 10% correction that makes you nervous. True fear is absolutely terrifying. It's the kind of fear that makes you wake up at 3 a.m. in a cold sweat, checking your portfolio and wondering if you've lost everything. The harsh reality is that not everyone is going to make it to the other side of this journey. But here's the incredible opportunity. If you can push through that genuine fear and hopelessness, if you can overcome what breaks the average person in this market, you'll emerge as someone completely different. It's all about transformation. As they say, pain is just the weaker version of yourself leaving your body. That really resonated with me because I'm watching this play out in real time right now. Every single time we get a red day, even just a small dip, I see the so-called strongest hands in this space getting completely frustrated and venting all over social media. They're losing their minds over tiny pullbacks. And I'm sitting here thinking, if you can't handle this little volatility, just wait until XRP really starts its explosive breakout. That's when we'll see who's really built for this journey and who is just talking tough. And I'm talking about a true earth-shattering breakout where XRP suddenly goes completely parabolic. Picture this. The moment we see that first little pullback during the explosive run, every single person on social media is going to be screaming at you that the top is in. They'll be yelling, "Sell now! Take profits now!" Only to watch in absolute shock as the price rockets even higher. Everyone wants to be the genius who called the top, but here's what they don't understand. If you truly know what you're holding, there will never be a real top for you. Why? Because value is going to keep pouring into this space and this cryptocurrency like a never-ending waterfall. Think about where we are right now. We're literally standing on the edge of the tokenization boom. We're talking about trillions upon trillions of dollars in value that needs to move around the global financial system. And guess what they're going to need? A bridge currency. And don't even get me started on stable coins. The real boom there hasn't even begun yet. Once that explosion happens, every single stablecoin is going to need a bridge to move efficiently. And what are you holding in your portfolio? That bridge. As more and more value floods onto the XRP ledger, the price is going to climb higher and higher. Just wait until true scarcity meets explosive demand. That's going to be the biggest shock this entire crypto space has ever seen. You think XRP's run in 2017-2018 was impressive? That's going to look like child's play compared to what's coming. Picture a scarcity-driven run where the price is changing dramatically, minute by minute, as people desperately try to FOMO in, but the price just keeps climbing relentlessly. And we're already seeing the early signs. XRP is steadily leaving exchanges as smart money accumulates. This trend is only going to accelerate. Here's something fascinating. I don't even think Bitcoin will see retail FOMO this time around. It's simply too expensive for regular people now. Same thing with Ethereum. But XRP? People are going to start aggressively accumulating the moment the price starts its real breakout. You want to be positioned here before that stampede begins. So until that magical moment arrives, stay patient, stay positive, and let's build wealth together on this incredible journey. All right, future millionaires, that's going to wrap up today's video. Thank you so much for watching and for being part of this amazing community. I genuinely appreciate every single one of you. I'll catch you in the next one. Have an absolutely fantastic night.